Imagine this. You line up at the start line of a triathlon you've been training for let's say 3 months, and you look from side to side and you look at all the other athletes and everyone's looking pretty fit, and you stop for a second and sort of think, I wonder if any of these people are taking anything. Now, of course, you'd like to think not, but maybe it's just me, but I reckon there's plenty who do. So in this video, I'm going to talk about drugs in triathlon, and in particular drugs in age group triathlon. So let's not just pick on the elites here, let's pick on the age groupers. And what have they got to gain? Well, a gold medal, maybe on the podium, but really that's it. They don't get paid, they don't get anything else. So let's do this. Drugs in age group triathlon. So as with all of our videos, I've done a little bit of research here, and what's important is we love bringing them to you, but we need you to subscribe, and I'm going to keep harping on about this because if you subscribe, we get more subscribers obviously, and therefore our videos get shown to more people, and hopefully we can grow our audience. So we do love doing this. We've done over 50 videos now, but we really want you guys to subscribe. So as always, down here, click away. So as participation numbers in triathlon events grow, so does the number of age group athletes who break the rules. And that's unfortunate, but that's a fact. According to a 2013 study published in the journal PLOS ONE, put links to that below, as many as 1 in 7 Ironman athletes admit to using drugs to gain an advantage over their competitors. So that's a bit scary. An Australian triathlete competing in the 35 to 39 age group division was stripped of his silver medal from the World Champs on the Gold Coast in 2018 and banned for 4 years after testing positive to EPA. He was only second in the sprint distance triathlon. He also competed as a guide to a visually impaired athlete, a 3-time Paralympic Games representative who was disqualified from the race as a result of the positive test. The athlete after the ban said, "I didn't take EPO. I didn't know anything about it." Mate, if you're going to take the shit, then own it. Don't bullshit about not knowing. You got caught, so stop being a wanker, I say. The ITU also announced that a Portuguese triathlete had been stripped of his silver medal in the 40 to 44 age group and banned for 2 years after testing positive at the long distance triathlon world champs in Spain. Now, these are just the people that were found or caught or tested positive. So let's get into this because there's some scary statistics here. A German study in 2017 investigated the use of performance-enhancing drugs in recreational triathletes, in other words, age groupers, who were competing in German races at distances ranging from super sprint to long distance. The test asked about the use of drugs over the previous 3 months and was assessed via an anonymous questionnaire. The randomized response technique was implemented for sensitive questions regarding drugs for the purpose of performance enhancement that were only available at a pharmacy or on the black market. There were 1,953 completed questionnaires received from 3,134 registered starters, involving 17 separate races. Of the respondents, 31.8% admitted to the use of drugs during the previous 3 months. So, does triathlon do strict drug testing? In my opinion, no. It's a joke. At the end of the day, it's a money game. Would the lack of big money in triathlon be the reason for so little testing? Probably. There is not a lot of money in winning triathlon. Here's a few stats on that. In all of triathlon, only 15 athletes earned more than $100,000 in prize money over the past year. Only 25 athletes earned average wages between 50 and 100K. which means a full 95% of pros won less than $50,000, with 75% earning less than $10,000. And unfortunately, those percentages don't even include the 500 plus athletes racing in the pro division who aren't fast enough to win anything at all. So, I think ego and winning is more than enough of a reason for triathletes to take drugs. So here's how one man became a drug cheat to test the system. He had decided to become a doper himself. He would inject EPO. EPO is a natural substance produced within the kidneys that stimulates the creation of new red blood cells. More red blood cells means more oxygen, which means more power, which means the faster you go. Pretty simple, actually. The sad reality, though, is that blood-boosting drugs like EPO, if injected, are only detectable in the urine or blood for a short window of time. He had always been fit and had competed in hundreds of triathlon races. He'd also competed 2 Ironman distance triathlons, one of them under 11 hours, so not bad, but would unlikely get him on the podium. He trained for 4 months in the run-up to the experiment and got used to training about 12 hours per week. By the time he was ready to start the experiment, he was fitter than he'd ever been in his life. So 10 to 15 years ago, if you wanted to get your hands on banned substances, you had to physically meet somebody and purchase it from them. Now you can sit at home, go online and order pretty much whatever you want. So the site he found appeared to be selling Chinese pharmaceutical supplies. He had to transfer $300 to someone called Tatiana, who seemed to be based in Eastern Europe. 3 weeks passed and a package from China arrived. Before he started on the drugs, he did a performance test called a VO2 max test. It involved riding a static bike and gradually increasing the resistance, measured in watts, until he could pedal no more. He managed about 10.5 minutes at an average power output of 350 watts. This made him physically sick. The score was 58 on the test, which compares pretty good to the average person 35, but rather pathetic against an elite athlete of 70 plus most of the time. Now that he had posted a clean performance marker, it was time to enter the loading phase. Within a couple of weeks, he started to notice a difference, particularly on longer rides. He appeared to have much more power at the end of the ride than he would normally have. By week 8, the changes were obvious. He was climbing big hills for hours into a ride as if they weren't even there. By week 10, he went back to the lab for another VO2 max test. He flew past his previous mark and hung on for more than 12 minutes at 375 watts. That's 1.5 minutes longer than the first test and 25 watts more. This gave a score of 63, which is a 7% increase in his VO2. When you consider that even half a percentage point can make the difference in elite sport, this is a huge jump. At this point, he took blood samples. He was always trying to stay close to WADA's anti-doping rules about the samples being analysed within 36 hours. If you're wondering what WADA is, I assume you know, check the link below. He sent away 14 samples taken over 14 weeks to his confidential anti-doping source, and these numbers were run through the appropriate tests. He was shocked when the result came through. He had passed. Despite taking EPO for 7 weeks, seeing steady rises in his red blood cell counts, and gaining a significant performance benefit, he tested clean. If he was a competing athlete, he would have gotten away with it. The worrying part is that an ordinary person can look up some information on the internet, do some injections, and fool the system. Who's heard of Swiss triathlete Brigitte McMahon? She won Switzerland's only gold medal at the 2000 Olympic Games in Sydney in the women's triathlon. She admitted to taking banned performance-enhancing hormones. But she insisted that her Olympic gold medal was achieved without illegal substances. What a load of bullshit. She did us Aussies out of a gold medal, with McKillie Jones coming in for the silver. Everyone knew she was a drug cheat, but it could not be proven. The reality is, some age group triathletes are on drugs. It's not an even playing field, and there ain't nothing we can do about it because the testing process is easy to beat. The problem I see is drugs can take a below average athlete and make them a superstar overnight. I was speaking to an ex-pro athlete mate of mine and he explained it very simply to me. If an average athlete with a red blood cell count of 30 starts to take EPO, it can increase their count to up near 50, which is a huge increase. Whereas an athlete with a natural count of 45, who's obviously gifted, is now getting their ass kicked by this nobody. It's not an even playing field, full stop. To blow my own horn a bit, I would consider myself an above average triathlete. I'm far from an elite, but I go all right. I know I'm racing doped up dicks, and there ain't nothing I can do about it. And unfortunately, that's just the way it is. So I'll put it to you guys. Do you know anybody, an age grouper, who takes drugs? You don't have to give me names, but yes or no, do you know of people who do it? I've spoken to a lot of people, and a lot of people go, absolutely, age group triathletes are taking the stuff. And it's sad, because for those who train and be honest, they're getting their asses kicked by these doped up idiots. That's the reality of sport, I guess. Leave your comments below. Thanks for watching.